Hey friends, it's Don, and in this video I'm going to show you how to answer the tricky interview question, what's your biggest weakness? Now if you have a job interview coming up, they might ask you this question, but don't worry because I'm going to show you exactly how to answer it. But before we get started, if you find this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Now, let's take a look at what they might ask you because this question comes in different forms. They might say, hey, what's your biggest weakness? Or they might say, what are some of your weaker points? Or they might ask, what would your boss say are your weaker points? So I don't want you to get caught off guard if the question comes in a different form. Now, the reason that they like to ask this question is to discover the kinds of things you don't like, because chances are that if you're not good at doing something or it's a weakness for you, that you probably don't enjoy doing it. So here's a list of 8 weaknesses that you might have, not that you'd have all 8, but you might find one of these that rings true for you. So number 1 is presenting to a large group of people, and that plays on our natural fears of just public speaking. Number 2 is being too judgmental. I mean, we can all be a little too judgmental when people have, different beliefs than we have. So it's a good one to use. You want to use it carefully. Next one is focusing too much on the details. Now, it's another common weakness that we all have. Some people just get so wrapped up in what they're doing. And so you could consider using this if it describes you. Another one is not being good at giving feedback. And that could also be considered as giving criticism. And, people don't really like to give criticism to people because they feel they're going to get some backlash from them. Now, if you're a supervisor or something like that, you probably don't want to use that as a weakness. Make sense? The next one here is finding it hard to say no. And that one kind of describes me. If someone asks me for something, it's like, yeah, yes, I'll do it. And, sometimes I'm sacrificing my time here that I could be doing something that's more important. And I think that's naturally a weakness that a lot of people have because people generally want to help other people do something. So if a coworker comes by and says, hey, can you help me with this? You're like, yeah, I want to help you. But I'm going to show you how to, give a better answer to that and use it as a weakness for you. Another weakness you might have is lacking experience in a certain area. And I think everybody does. I mean, nobody really knows everything. So it's something that you can consider using. If there's an area, if you're applying for a job and there's an area where you don't have everything that they're looking for, you could label this as one of your weaknesses. Another one is another good weakness is asking others for help. Now, some people are just do-it-yourselfers and they just want to do everything themselves. Other people have no problem. They're like, hey, if I can make my job easier by getting some help from someone else, I'll do it. So if that describes you, let's consider using that. Another good weakness you might consider using is getting stressed if a project runs over the deadline. I mean, we all do. I mean, deadlines scare people because if they miss the deadline, that means there's going to be consequences. So that's why people get stressed over that. So something you might consider using. What you want to do is choose the one weakness that fits you best, and practice your answer. Remember, when you're answering this question, you always want to be honest. And don't say that you don't have any weaknesses. And what you want to do is mention and talk about how you're working to improve. You always want to show progress. You don't want to list a weakness and just say, well, I haven't done anything about it. You always want to talk about what you're doing to improve it. Now, if you asked me, what are my weaknesses? I'm in a job interview. I might say, it's hard for me to say no to people because it's my nature to be as helpful as I can. But I'm balancing this against my workload. And if I can help and I'm not working on anything with a tight deadline, then I'll help them. Otherwise, I tell them I can't help them right now, but maybe tomorrow, or I might direct them to someone who can. And what I found is that my coworkers are very understanding when I tell them this. And, so the first time I tried this, no one was mad at me. So I know I have it in me to be able to say no. And that's really all there is to answering the weakness question. I hope you weren't expecting more. Now, I do have other videos on the weakness question. And in those videos, I describe different ways, maybe more direct ways of answering it. This video is more of a broader approach to maybe reach out to other people who have a harder time zeroing in on this. But remember, like I said earlier in the video, the only reason that they're asking you this question is to discover what you don't like doing, because if you're weak at something, you probably aren't very good at it, which means you don't enjoy doing it. Now, that's really all I got for you. To help you with your next interview, head on over to jobinterviewtools.com. Grab this checklist. I just created this. This is brand new, unless you're watching this video 10 years from now. But right now, this checklist is brand new. And it's going to walk you through everything you need to know for your interview. Every step that you need to take to get prepared for your interview, it's in here. And the really cool thing about this is it links you to some other resources. It links you to other videos on my channel that go deeper on what I think are some very important parts. And on the back side here, more detail, more tactics, more strategies on what you need to do to get prepared for your interview. So this is free, my friend, just for spending some time with me today. You can get it at jobinterviewtools.com/checklist and put in your name, email, address, tell me where to send it, and I will get it out to you. And that's all I have for you today. I think you're going to do great with this question. I think you're going to do great on your next interview. And I know that because you're here now, you're spending time with me, and that means you're willing to do whatever it takes to do the best you can in your next job interview. So if you found this video helpful, hey, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.